The hospital lights were cold and sterile. Machines beeped in sharp, uneven intervals, counting down the last fragments of a life. On the bed, a 6-year-old woman struggled for each faint breath. Her boyfriend leaned over, live streaming to social media, pleading with thousands watching. "Everybody pray for Jay, please, pray." But in that very moment, the light in her eyes was already fading.
If everybody could pray for Jen, pray.
That name was Channing Nicole Larry, or as the world knew her, Enchanting. A gifted rapper, a unique voice out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Double C, some shit her beady bought. I told they ass I was a real P, they ain't believe me. I know my pussy hella good, cause none of my niggas.
She once worked as a waitress at IHOP, and within just a few years, she was on stage with Gucci Mane, Big Scar rising as a new icon of Southern trap music. From an ordinary young woman, she turned her dream into reality, her music reaching millions, her name followed and admired across the country.
I'm a bad bitch, but I'm a real ass nigga. Ay, I'm a bad bitch, but I'm a real ass nigga. Ay, I'm a bad bitch, but I'm a real ass nigga.
Yet behind the stage lights, behind the radiant smile and the high-energy tracks, lay a very different story. A battle against pressure, against temptation, against relationships built on control, and a loneliness that proved deadly. Enchanting didn't just lose her dream. She lost her life at an age when everything should have only just begun. That night, when the ventilator fell silent, a star that had only just begun to rise was extinguished, and the question left behind for all of us: was this merely an accident? Or was it the result of a chain of mistakes, of indifference, of close ones who never truly protected her? If you want to journey with me to uncover the truth behind the spotlight, from a waitress to a rap star and to the death that shook the entire music scene, stay with me until the end of this video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because here, every case is not just a story, it's a warning. And I want to know, where are you watching this from? Leave a comment below. Fort Worth wasn't just where she grew up, it was where she found herself. In a city that carried both the spirit of the traditional South and the rhythm of urban life, Channing began shaping her identity. Bold, witty, and full of energy. At school, she wasn't the top student, but she was the one who drew the whole class's attention with her laughter and a rare kind of confidence. After graduating high school, life wasn't paved in roses. She put on the IHOP uniform, the blue shirt and apron, an image far removed from that of a star. But even while carrying plates of pancakes, Channing turned the space into her own stage. Customers remembered her smile, her charm, and the way she radiated positive energy. Co-workers would say, Channing had something different, like she wasn't born to stand behind a counter, she was born to stand under the spotlight. Music wasn't a passing hobby for her, it was an escape, a place where she could shed the uniform, forget the unpaid bills, and pour every emotion into her voice. The turning point came the summer after graduation. In just one night, she recorded an entire mixtape. Channing admitted it was the first time she tried stimulants, then locked herself in the studio for 12 straight hours, singing and rapping without pause. The result was raw but real, a demo that made the Dallas-Fort Worth underground scene take notice.
A whole mixtape.
How'd it turn out?
It was actually fire.
Yeah?
Yeah. That shit fire. My fans still be listening to it.
Is that still part of your recording process, the ecstasy?
No, hell
Okay.
no. That was a one and done.
Okay.
One and done. It's too much for me.
That budding career also brought with it the relationships that would shape her fate. One name emerged: Johnny, a man who claimed he saw her potential and offered to guide her. At first, Johnny was just a manager. But soon, He was shaping every corner of her life. From picking beats, writing songs, crafting her image, down to every Instagram post, everything passed through him. From an ordinary girl, Channing slowly transformed into Enchanting, a name that carried both pride and allure. But even from the very beginning, behind that rising glow, there were already shadows of control and restraint. And that was only the start of a journey that would take her from a small Texas diner to blazing stages, before plunging into a darkness no one could have imagined. When Enchanting first stepped fully into the music industry, everything seemed to move too fast, too bright. She wasn't just a signed artist, she was carving out a unique image, feminine yet tough, funny yet sharp. Female fans especially adored her rules of love on social media quotes that seemed playful on the surface but carried the weight of experience and warning.
Commandment number 1, never let a nigga touch that phone. Run for dear life. Rule number 2, remember you choose a trick, don't let the trick choose you. Rule number 3, hard eyes make a nigga dick jump. Drop a nigga some hard eyes. Rule number 4, if you gotta lie to your hoes, you're not a pig. That's not play. Thank you. Rule number 5, players tell the truth and still have it their way. Okay, rule number 6, thou shalt not save no nigga that's not saving you. Rule number 7, thou shalt not give a nigga nothing till he come about something. Keep it player. Thanks. Thanks for my TED Talk.
Yet behind that confident shell, the exhaustion grew clearer. The pressure of relentless schedules, the harsh demands from management, the expectations of millions of followers all began to wear her down. Channing was no longer the carefree IHOP waitress, nor the inspired Enchanting in the studio. She was becoming a figure who lived for the crowd, forced to play the role of strength, even as she was collapsing inside. That was when the pills appeared. At first, just a few to help her sleep after long nights in the studio. Then painkillers, to ease the stiffness in her body after hours of performing. Then anti-anxiety meds, to stay calm before cameras and crowds. They crept in little by little until they became routine. And then, an addiction.
Shannon, how long was you asleep? I thought you just said you were asleep.
I was.
What you dreaming about?
I just woke up.
What you dreaming about? Nothing.
Fans began to notice the changes. During her live streams, there were moments when she laughed for a second, but her eyes looked distant, clouded. Her friends saw it too. Her voice had slowed. Her steps were no longer steady. In a 2023 interview, Enchanting said something that left the entire room silent. You could take just one pill and die instantly. Was it a confession or a cry for help? No one knew. But one thing was clear. She understood the danger she was facing.
Name something you do that your mom can't stand. I'm a fucking gangster. She be mad as fuck. I be scrapped. I be having that fire. Like, we'll be out somewhere, and I be like, Mama, I got that fire. She be like, what is wrong with you?
And behind it all, Johnny the manager, the boyfriend, tightened his grip. He decided which images were posted, which songs were released, even what Enchanting should say and do. What was once called love, mixed with business, had turned into an invisible cage. See, from the stage lights, to the prescription bottles, to the controlling hand of the man beside her, they were all signs. Signs warning of a future far from peaceful. But at the height of success, few stop to listen to those faint signals. Not until it's too late. In 2020, Enchanting's career took a sharp turn. Her talent and unique style caught the attention of Gucci Mane, the king of Southern trap. She officially signed with 1017 Records, stepping into the professional spotlight with massive media power behind her. But that handshake with success was also a wave goodbye to the man who once controlled everything, Johnny. From being the one who dictated her creative vision, Johnny was pushed out of the game, and he couldn't accept it. On podcasts and in interviews, he repeated the same line over and over. Without me, she'd be nothing. I created that image. The music, the Instagram, everything was built by me. No longer just a manager left behind, Johnny had become obsessed. The man who once shaped Enchanting's image now publicly dismissed her own contributions. He no longer saw her as an artist, but as a product. And in his mind, that product was never meant to be free. Meanwhile, Channing was stepping into a new world, one where fame was no longer something to wait for. Her schedule was packed. Show after show, endorsement deals, sponsored posts, Fashion Nova shoots, music videos, nights performing in Atlanta, Houston, Miami. She had entered the world of true stars. But with every step forward came a trade-off. The loneliness didn't disappear. On the contrary, it was magnified by the spotlight. The expectations from the label, the fans, social media, it all became a burden. Each day she woke up, it felt like the start of another performance. And to keep standing, she turned again to the pills. She doesn't hide it. In a video, Meowing said bitterly, "I know, just one bullet is enough to kill." But sometimes, it's more supportive than feeling like you have to keep acting.
Go if they feel like they going through pain or they just going through something and they want to feel better, but it's like, it's a big risk. Like, you could take one pill and literally die, like immediately. Like, I had a homegirl that took a fake pill and she had a heart attack and died, like immediately. She just had a baby like a few months before that, like, and that happened like just like that. So it's really not worth it at the end of the day. So
as her career climbed, her body and mind declined. Headaches, trembling hands, endless nights without sleep, and a growing dependence on oxycodone, benzodiazepines, drugs meant for treatment. But for her, they became an escape. She found a new relationship with rapper Motion God Bandman, a man who seemed to love her genuinely, without calculation. Clips of them together spread across TikTok, gentle, natural, free of the control that had marked her time with Johnny. But love wasn't enough to conquer addiction. Motion God could be by her side, but he couldn't erase the pressure of thousands watching her every day. He couldn't silence the cravings when night came, or the screaming in her head each time the stage lights went dark. A past of control, a present of instability, a future clouded in uncertainty. Enchanting stood in the center of a storm. Success was no longer a destination, but a sentence hanging over her head. And the worst was still waiting ahead. The 6th of June 2024. After multiple relapses and failed rehab attempts, Enchanting, this time with the help of her management team, decided to try again. But instead of entering a medical facility, she moved in with a close friend and a few members of her team, hoping that familiarity would help her fight off the cravings. She wanted control over herself. No doctors, no machines, no paparazzi. Just a small apartment in Dallas, the only place where she still felt a trace of freedom. The 7th of June 9. For 3 days, Enchanting fought demons no outsider could truly understand. The tremors, the vomiting, the endless, sleepless nights. Her whole body ached, the sheets soaked with sweat, and at times she screamed into the night hallucinations, tearing through her from withdrawal. A manager friend later said, "She really tried. I've never seen anyone fight so hard," but her body, it was already too damaged. The 10th of June morning. Around 11:47 a.m., while sitting in the living room, Enchanting suddenly collapsed. She couldn't breathe. Her skin began to turn blue. The friend beside her panicked and dialed 911. On the other end, the dispatcher tried to stay calm, but the urgency bled through their voice. "We have a 26-year-old female, history of drug use. She stopped breathing. Respond immediately." 12:15 p.m. The ambulance arrived. On the way, her heart stopped twice. Paramedics performed relentless chest compressions in the back of the emergency vehicle. By the time she reached Baylor University Medical Center, she had gone nearly 6 minutes without a pulse. Doctors did everything possible: defibrillation, pacing, high-flow oxygen. After repeated efforts, her heart began to beat again, but her consciousness never returned. She was placed on a ventilator and moved into the ICU. 1:45 p.m. Her boyfriend, Motion God Bandman, posted the first update. "Pray for my baby. She needs all the prayers right now." Fans shared it everywhere. But what no one knew was that, at that very moment, doctors had quietly told the family, "Her brain is dying." 3 p.m. Enchanting was officially declared in a deep coma. Machines kept her alive artificially. A brain scan revealed severe damage from oxygen deprivation. 6:30 p.m. Bandman posted again. If anyone can pray for Jay, please, pray right now. It was no longer just a plea for help. It was a farewell one no one dared to speak aloud.
If everybody could pray for Jay, pray.
The night of the 10th of June into the morning of the 11th of June, Enchanting's family, her mother, her siblings gathered around. They took turns holding her hand, whispering, "Mama loves you. Don't give up. Don't give up. Jay, don't leave this world." But the tests told a different story. Her liver, kidneys, lungs were failing. Doctors were blunt. There is no chance of recovery. 6 a.m., the 11th of June. After hours of agonizing discussion, the family made the decision to withdraw life support. 2:20 a.m. Doctors began the process. 2:26 a.m. Channing Nicole Larry Enchanting took her final breath. At her side were her mother, her boyfriend, and those who had tried, in vain, to save her. An hour later, Bandman posted his final message. "You finally found that peace you was looking for. Y'all hurt me bad. From a waitress to a rising rapper, and finally, a lifeless body in an ICU room, Enchanting left this world at just 26 years old. She once sang about running away from the pain, but no one imagined that her final run would be away from life itself." When news of Enchanting's death spread on the morning of the 11th of June 2024, no one wanted to believe it was real. The Texas rap community felt as if a knife had been driven straight into its heart. From Fort Worth to Atlanta, from veteran artists to underground rappers who had once collaborated with her, everyone posted their farewells. Gucci Mane, the man who had signed her, the one who placed his faith in that young talent, wrote on Instagram, "She was a true star. This one hurts different. 1017 will never be the same again." Big Scar, who had recorded multiple hits with her, shared a behind-the-scenes clip with a heartbroken caption. "She was always the happiest one in the studio. Always made us laugh. Her voice will live forever." And it wasn't just the big names. Dozens of younger artists, those who had met her at small shows, in makeshift studios, also shared photos, stories, and the unread messages she never got to answer. In Fort Worth, the local radio station dedicated an entire week to playing Enchanting's music, from her earliest mixtapes to her official releases. The co-workers who once served alongside her at IHOP pooled their money to create a small memorial at the street corner where she used to greet customers. On TikTok, fans organized balloon releases in pink and red, her favorite colors. They posted clips, crying as they rapped along to her lyrics. In just 1 week after her passing, Enchanting's music streams surged by over 400%. Track and Field shot into Spotify's trending charts. Her monthly listeners jumped from 800,000 to 3.2 million, as if the whole world suddenly woke up and realized what a treasure had been lost. But for her family, the ones who didn't need followers, didn't need streams, only needed a hug each morning, nothing could replace her. They had lost their light. On the 11th of June 2024, Enchanting's body was taken to the Dallas County Medical Examiner's office, but it would take nearly 2 months before the questions surrounding her death began to find answers. The 23rd of August, the autopsy report was completed. In the blood of Channing Nicole Larry, they found high levels of oxycodone, an extremely potent opioid painkiller, along with benzodiazepines, the common sedatives prescribed for anxiety and insomnia. The forensic conclusion cold, but no less brutal. Cause of death: acute intoxication from the combination of oxycodone and benzodiazepines. Manner of death: accident. Organ condition: liver failure, kidney failure, irreversible brain damage. What made it even more heartbreaking was this: she had been clean for 3 days. Those closest to her confirmed during her stay with friends, Enchanting had endured the horrifying symptoms of withdrawal with determination. But on the 4th day, exhausted, in pain, she slipped. and the price she paid was her life. Dallas police opened an investigation as procedure, reviewing her final messages, social media posts, and testimonies from those around her. They found no signs of foul play, no evidence that anyone forced her to use drugs. The Dallas County District Attorney's Office announced no charges would be filed. They concluded it was a personal tragedy, the cumulative result of addiction and crushing psychological pressure. Enchanting's family accepted the findings. In a press release, her mother wrote, "We know our daughter fought against a disease that millions are battling. Addiction is not a choice. It is a biological hunger, a silent war." Case file 202407892 was archived, just another name in the long list of victims of America's opioid epidemic. But for those who loved her, the true verdict has never closed. Channing Nicole Larry Enchanting lived a short but ferocious life. From a waitress on a Texas street corner, to a rap star adored by millions, and finally, to a body lying cold in an ICU, breathing through machines, awaiting the decision to withdraw the tube. She had lived fierce, stubborn, blazing. She had fought through poverty, through toxic control, through pains that would have broken most. But in the end, it was the very thing she once warned about that claimed her. One pill could kill you. A prophecy fulfilled. And in the end, all those who once claimed to love her stood powerless. Her former manager could only point blame. Her new lover could only pray. Her family could only watch as their daughter faded on a ventilator. And the industry turned its back until it was far too late. So, who truly killed her? Fame? The pills? Loneliness? Or the empty pretense of care in a world that demands you always be strong? Enchanting's death was not an isolated accident. It was a mirror of thousands of other cases where the victims are young, women, people of color, carrying dreams too heavy in a world too cold. If this story makes you think, please share it. Not for views, but because there are too many like Channing out there sinking silently while no one notices. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from, because here, every case is an alarm bell, and maybe her story will save someone else.